Hi guys, Casper MMA here, and today we are back with another Bellator predictions video, and today I'm giving my predictions for Bellator Champions Series, McCourt versus Collins. We did alright on the last Bellator prediction video we did, which was Nurmagomedov versus Shabli. I remember I stayed up to watch UFC, and then I tried to watch some Bellator, and I fell asleep because it was so late in the UK. But this card this week is actually in my home country. It's in London, I think, so I might give it a watch. But before I jump into my predictions, make sure if you're not already, go and hit the subscribe button down below, guys. It's much appreciated and it's free. So we have 10 fights on this week's card. I think this was meant to be a cancelled fight. It was Eblen versus Edwards, so that I wish that was actually happening, because that would have been a good fight. But yeah, we kick things off with the first fight, which is Almudhaf versus Diakiese Silva. I've probably messed up how I've said that name. But yeah, Almudhaf. She's 4-0. Pretty decent. 3 wins by KO. 1 win by submission. So she's all finishes in UAE Warriors. You do have to question some of the opponents she's fighting, to be honest. I don't think they're very good. But same thing we said about Silva, to be fair. She's 3-0. Fought in Ironman MMA. She's got 2 finishes and 1 decision. So not too bad, to be fair. So it's a close fight, really, because they're both similar records. Not much experience in professional MMA. But I am going to back Almudhaf to win this fight. She's English. It's fighting in England. She's got 3 wins by KO. That's pretty good for a women's fighter. So yeah, I think Almudhaf is going to get a KO in this fight as well. And it's going to come in round number 2. So we move up the card to Diakiese versus Dmitry Hrytsenko. Yep, butchered that one again. 6-0 for Kelly versus 9-0 for Hrytsenko. Kelly looks pretty decent. 3 wins by submission, 2 wins by KO. His last one coming by guillotine choke in the Bellator Champions Series. So he this year as well. So he's been active. Hrytsenko, he's fought also last year, won by decision in Bellator 300. So they're both pretty decent fighters, to be fair. Both got undefeated records, but I'm going to back the Irishman in this fight. I do think Kelly is a pretty good fighter. He's got a decent record, and yeah, I reckon he gets this one done by submission in round number 1. He's got some submissions before. I reckon he gets another one here. So we move up the card to Clarke versus Xavier Ruiz. Now another Irishman fighting, undefeated record as well, 9-0, even better than Kelly was. He's got quite a few wins by submission, 5 by submission, in fact. In his last one, his last 2, he got arm triangle chokes, so fair enough, that's pretty decent. He hasn't lost yet, whereas Ruiz, 12-3, not as good of a record, just have 3 losses there, but he still is a decent fighter. His last loss was like quite a while ago in 2019, so he's on about a 5-fight win streak or something like that. Yep, 5 fights, so he's not too bad, but I do think Clarke is the better fighter here. I do think he's going to get this done, and I reckon he wins by decision. Now, we move up the card again to Luciano versus Stephen Hill. Now, tough one to pick, really. Luciano 9-2, Stephen Hill, Englishman, 7-1. Hill's coming off a loss to Mike Shipman, who is also fighting on this card. Retirement in round 1. So, but before that, he's had a few good fights. He's undefeated before that, pretty sure. So not too shabby. Luciano 9-2. I was looking at his record. He is coming off. He's win by submission in his last fight. They lost before that, but that was his only loss since Carlos Prates. He lost a decision in one Warrior Series, which is kind of crazy because Carlos Prates is pretty good. We saw him just knock out Li Xingliang. So yeah, he's decent. So it's not a bad loss to have on your record, to be fair. But I do think Luciano is going to win this one. I reckon he's just going to be the overall well-rounded fighter, and he gets this one done by decision. Now we move up the card to Mike Shipman, who we've just mentioned, versus Islam Abdul Baset. I don't know how you say that name. He's from Egypt or something like that. Yeah, he's Egyptian. I don't see many Egyptian fighters, to be honest. I don't think I've ever seen one. But 16-2, so a fair few fights under his belt there. Fighting in UAE Warriors and some other random promotions about, like Brave. And he's lost 1 fight by split decision and 1 submission. So apart from that, pretty good record. Quite a few wins by KO and decision. Mike Shipman, on the other hand, 34 years of age, so maybe just getting past his prime, I'm not sure. He is coming off that win against Stephen Hill. He's on a 2-fight win streak. So he did lose to split decision to Fabian Edwards as well. So he's got a decent record, 8 wins by KO, 6 by submission. And I think that Shipman's going to win this one, you know. I don't know how good the competition Baset has been fighting over at UE Warriors, but I think Shipman will get this done. And I think he gets this one done by decision. So we move up the card again to Archie Colgan versus Manuel Sousa. Now, both really good records here. Both undefeated coming to this fight. Colgan 10-0, Sousa 11-0, so very similar records. Colgan American, Sousa Brazilian. So Colgan, he's got a decent record. He's got 3 wins by decision coming into this fight. Before that, a few by KO in the Bellator and that. Sousa, 7 wins by KO, so he is dangerous on the feet. His last win was against Tim Wilde, who I think he's also fighting on this card, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, pretty similar records. Quite a lot of KOs, quite a lot of wins. But I think that tough one to pick. But I'm going to go with Colgan as my pick here. I mean, he's showed he can withstand the pressure. He's got some wins by decision. So I think he might take Sousa. He's going to take away the threat of the KO, and he's going to withstand it and win by decision. Now we move up the card too. Marc Diakiese versus Tim Wilde. Now, Marc Diakiese, I think it's his first fight since leaving the UFC, maybe. Yes, it is. He had a loss to Benoit Saint-Denis in grappling, but apart from that, yeah, that's his first fight since he left the UFC. He's fighting Tim Wilde, 17-5, who we just mentioned. Last fight got knocked out by Manuel Sousa, but apart from that, he was on quite a big win streak. Had a draw as well, but I am obviously going to pick Diakiese here. I mean, he was not long ago UFC level. He's still 31 as well. He's still in his prime almost. So I think Diakiese gets this done by KO. I've got him getting KO in round number 3. So we move up the card to Luke Trainer versus Laurianas Urbonavicius. What are these names, man? This guy's from Lithuania. Really hard name. There's a guy in Lithuania, like that Ramaska guy, just got choked out by Fletcher from the UFC. So Lithuanians making inroads into the MMA world. He's got a decent record, only 1 loss, coming to submission. But apart from that, not a bad record. I don't know what promotions he's been fighting in, so I can't say about the level of competition he's fighting. But he did beat Rafael Xavier, who was actually fighting higher up in this card. So it's not a bad win, to be fair to him. Luke Trainer, 8-1, only 1 loss as well, coming by decision to Simon Bion. But apart from that, he's coming off a decision win versus Grant Neal, a couple of submission wins. He's got quite a few submission wins, and I think he gets this one by submission as well. I think he gets the submission in round number 2. So we move up the co-main event. Simeon Powell, I don't know how to say his first name, versus Rafael Xavier. Now, Powell, 9-1, Englishman, decent record, only 1 loss in his last fight. PFL Europe 4, he lost by punches by this Slovenian guy, Nedor. I don't know how you say his name. But apart from that, he was undefeated. Decent record, to be fair to him. Rafael Xavier, 13-7. Not the best record, to be honest. A lot of his losses come by decision. He's only been finished once in his career. That's why I think that Powell will get this done by decision. I don't think he'll put him out of there, but I reckon he'll get the job done by decision. Now, we move up to the main event. Leah McCourt versus Sarah Collins. Now, Leah McCourt from Northern Ireland. You don't see many Northern Irish fighters around. You see more like Republic of Ireland, but she's not got too bad a record, 8-3. She's had the last fight she won by KO. Before that she lost 1 loss. So it's just interesting. What's it called? Record. Whereas Collins undefeated, 5-0 from Australia. A decent record. Both got wins over. She won against Kavanagh, and I think McCourt lost against Kavanagh. Did she? Yeah, she lost by decision, whereas Sarah Collins won by split decision in the last fight against Kavanagh. So both if we're doing MMA math, that would mean Sarah Collins won that one because she beat Kavanagh, whereas Leah McCourt didn't. But Anyways, I do think Collins wins this fight. She's undefeated. I feel like she's not looked too bad in her last couple of fights, and I think she gets this one done by decision. So there we have it. There are my picks for Bellator Champions Series this weekend. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of my picks. And that is all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, maybe leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.